Hello everyone, happy full moon in Gemini. Thank you for joining me. This is Eutimia at musemedicina.com. Muse Medicina Cash App, Eutimia-Montoya Venmo, and eutimia@gmail.com to give back. So I have a few things. I want to talk about full moons in general. So I am not an astrologer. I just happened upon a really lovely Greek woman who is an astrologer, at least second generation, who has a really, really powerful way about her and her explanations of things that are a lot of them rooted in Greek mythology, which is wonderful. Her name on Instagram is Myrto. No, that's her actual name, Myrto. Moons of Aphrodite. I would follow her if you want more of the aspect information. I'm coming at it from a Chicana indigenous perspective. So when we think about full moons, there's a reason why people are called lunatics. Okay, luna quiere decir, means moon in Spanish, and so a lunatic is somebody who is moved by the moon. Now, we are humans that are made up of 70 to 80 something percent water. Different people say different things about it. We're mostly water, and the moon has a really big effect on the oceans, on bodies of water. So of course the moon is going to have an effect on us. As a birth worker, a birth keeper who follows indigenous patterning, many babies are born on full moons, as well as on new moons, and when the barometric pressure drops during storms. There are of course babies born all the time, every single day, depending on a human's natural way of being. And everybody comes into this world, whether it's by surgical birth or vaginal birth, into this world at the specific time they're supposed to be born, based on astrological understanding. Once again, I'm not an astrologer, I just have a basic understanding. So full moons are harvest time. Full moons are the fullness of something right before it gets smaller and wanes. So in accordance with the idea of a full moon, they are times for release. They're times for letting go. In different astrological aspects, bring different energies with the full moon. So I just learned from my friend, my new friend, that today is a full moon in Gemini. And Gemini is the twins, the astrological twins. And she told a Greek myth story about these twins basically being separated because they were born of Zeus. So one was immortal and one was mortal, because he used to F with a bunch of different mortal women outside of his marriage. That's neither here nor there. Hi, querido. So one was mortal and one was immortal, and the mortal got killed, and then the immortal's like, I need my brother. So they spent the rest of their lifetimes making a deal between the heavenly realm and the underworld that they would move back and forth between those times and those spaces. So Gemini is really about duality in all things and duality in the self. So those of you who are kind of astrology nerds or even new to astrology, there's jokes about Gemini being you're not ever sure how they're either sweet or they're mean. They're either open or they're closed. They're very flippant. But this is really about duality in general. Just give me a moment. I have to get my son. ¿Qué quieres, niñito? ¿Quieres tu tambor? ¿Quieres tu tambor? ¿Quieres tu palo? Yeah. Okay. So, basically, us being in this time of the moon is really, especially with Gemini, a lot is coming up around how we are supposed to, all of the things underneath as well as all of the things on top are kind of reckoning with one another, right? They're coming to a place where we're okay, what is serving and what isn't? Now, this happens to be the last full moon, not only of the year, but of the decade. And that means that what's been brewing? What's been a brewing, okay? Now, there are all kinds of other astrological aspects that we want to take a look at. That I am not an expert on. But suffice to say, it is time that a lot of these things are just coming to a head. And I also want to talk about ritual. So historically, different people have different ways of offering ceremony and ritual. And something I learned growing up in ceremony ways, Mexica ceremony ways, Lakota ceremony ways, Dene ceremony ways, and from my mother, who's a historian, is that ritual and ceremony is for the purpose of stewarding energy. So what do I mean by that? Traditionally, our peoples, before colonization, there were different ceremonies that we did. And those ceremonies might have been for springtime or for summer solstice or for birthdays or for weddings, for the purpose of guiding energy. And energy is such a woo-woo word nowadays, but guiding the forma, the movement of specific intentions in a specific way. So we've lost the art on purpose and have been offered instead these rituals and ceremonies, though they aren't called that, by the American machine. Football games, sitting down on TV. I often point to the fact that nowadays in most American homes, what is the centerpiece? What is the altar? The television. Okay, so movies are ceremonies. Maybe we're lucky and we still have our cooking rituals, and that can be ceremonies, dinner ceremonies. But when we come together and create together, a portal is what happens when resonance meets amplification. I learned that from my scientist sister Kendra. And what that means is an opening for creation. So whatever you think about portals as, they are doorways. And that happens when resonance meets amplification. So when a bunch of people get together with one intention and create resonance, like harmonies in song, we are actually able to amplify that together, and that's when we can make pretty much anything happen. That's when we create change. So tomorrow, myself and my sister with Charmaine Bravo, who's been my comadre for a really long time, we are going to be offering a ritual where we are going to amplify so that we can create shifts, not only in our personal world, but in our collective world. So those of you who are familiar with what's going on in the world right now know that humans are starting to wake up. And there are all these exhibitions of debauchery is the word coming to me, you know, all of the what's in politics, all of the hate crimes. That is really just like the shadow side showing itself, but where there is great dark, there is also great light. So a lot of us are also waking up. If you look on Instagram nowadays, there are so many witches, everybody wants to be a witch, but really what that means is people are tuning into the old ways and tuning into the connection and tuning into the moons, right? And how the moons affect us. So what we are aiming to do together, and personally what I'm aiming to do as a 35, almost 36-year-old woman who was born in the traditions of brujeria and curanderismo on my maternal line, and later on I found out also on my paternal line as herbalists and food nutritionists, etc. I came here to help this. I'm a spiritual midwife. Okay, so basically we are all trying to get back to where we once were post-colonialism, and we need guidance and help doing that. So there's a whole new generation of 19, 20, 21, 22-year-old brujitas who are beautiful and amazing and doing really good work. And there's a generation, myself included, that have been reclaiming it for a while. From the generations before us, like my mother's and my grandmother's generation, who were completely like stifled and colonized. Actually, let me take that back, my grandmother's generation. But my mother's generation started reclaiming the ritual and ceremony aspect on the Red Road, which is why I was raised the way I was. It is my generation that's claiming back that like alchemist place in it that's actually creating those amplification resonance portals to make the shift. Okay, so if any of you would like to join tomorrow, you can DM me, and there is an investment involved in that. So I would love to have you all there. Now, that said, I am planning on going back to my practice in 2020, and I'm having an apprenticeship program showing up. Thank you, Hermano Cuauhtemoc. One of my homies who I grew up with, brother, friend, is on. Thank you. It's good to hear from you. I'm doing a apprenticeship, right? And so my apprenticeship, it's very interesting because it's shifted since I let it out, and I've gotten a lot of responses, which I'm really grateful for, because again, we are moving in the direction of this consciousness shift for our collective liberation away from colonial standards of subjugation of our souls and our spirits and our actions. That said, my apprenticeship is really all about helping you all come into your medicine as someone who will now connect with your indigenous roots, no matter where you come from in the world, and connect with your the connection to the earth mother, the connection to the sabiduría of our ancestors, the knowledge of our ancestors, the wisdom of our ancestors, for the purpose of healing the ancestors. So I had a treatment by my girl Charmaine today, who is such an amazing sorceress. I'm so excited to do this mutual stewardship of ceremonia with you all tomorrow. I love you too, Hita. I had a treatment with the homegirl today, who basically was like, all of my ancestor portals are open. I was sent here in this lifetime to teach ancestral wisdom. That is my manda. That is my dharma. That is the direction of my beingness and understanding. I'm going to get some water from my Berkey. That was a gift from my sister. So the message came through that this isn't about my need to heal by transforming trauma, which we've done in clinic, which some people, those of you who come see me, and there's a lot of screaming and there's a lot of yelling and there's a lot of crying. That's transforming through the trauma, kind of reliving the trauma to help it leave your body. And I'm a steward of that. I'm a facilitator of that. Yes, that is helpful, but for myself and my own medicina going forward, it's going to be more channeling the wisdom of our ancestral understanding. So there's a meme going on that's like, we don't just carry our ancestral trauma, we carry our ancestral victory, our ancestral glory, or something like that. Like, we can shine too. So that's where I'm being called right now. So in showing people how to reconstruct, remember the parts of us that were lost in colonialism, and re-put together our like the depth of our intrinsic understanding of the way the world works, through stewarding ceremony, through creating resonance and amplification. What we are doing is reminding ourselves to step into our own power. And for me personally, that looks like in healing ourselves and others. So that big systems like the medical industrial complex and the prison industrial complex don't take us over, right? So, moving on. Hi, querido amor. My son is fucking everything. I'm just saying. I'm a cusser. It happens. Tonight, the full moon is supposed to be the most bright and most full. Hi, Ninoshka. At 12:12 a.m. on 12:12. Now, it just so happens in our mestizo tradition, the December 12th is El Día de la Virgen, or the Day of the Virgin Mary. But I also want to point out that as mixed blood peoples, the colonizers, a lot of what they did was come into the indigenous mindset and like rattle it and unearth it and study it very sophisticatedly to insidiously get inside and undermine in order to colonize and conquer, right? So the what the Catholics did when they conquered in the Southwest in Mexico was realize that there's this deep reverence for Tonantzin-Tlali, the Mother Earth, the goddess. There's not really gods and goddesses. There's representations of all the energies of the universes. So even the concept of God and God is very Western, very colonized. But for lack of better terminology, the Earth Goddess, the Earth Mother, And today, or tomorrow rather, is the time that we honor her, La Virgencita. So what I'm saying is the colonialism came through and realized indigenous people had this deep reverence for the mother, and in order to infiltrate, that's the word I was looking for earlier, infiltrate the indigenous mindset and understanding in order to colonize and conquer, they syncretized La Virgencita with Tonancintlali. So when I honor the Virgin Mary, it is this aspect of humanity, of universe that honors the mother. We grew up praying to a woman. Okay, I grew up praying to a woman, and that woman is the mother, and the mother is the earth. So when we connect to this virgin idea, it is something that is more not about virginity, not about sex, but everything is sex, right? I've never been more sure about that now since I've been a mother and he came through my vagina and I breastfeed and all of that. Like, we are the creation. We are consistently creating, and the mother is the portal to that creation. So when we are in resonance with the divine mother, we are in resonance with creation itself. Does that make sense? Hira, my dog, says yes. So tomorrow it's like this cool ass, like 12:12 is the full moon, 12:12 a.m. I'm honestly not sure what time signature that is, if it's Eastern Standard or MST or across the world, but cool. 12:12 on 12:12 on the day of La Virgen is like this super portal to healing the mother wound, not only of our tierra, our madre, our Tonantzin, but of our own mothers and of being mothers and of nurturance. Okay, so it's super powerful portal. So even if y'all don't want to come out and be in community to steward this portal together, if you set yourself up tonight and or tomorrow for releasing all the cagada, all the stuff that you don't need anymore as per the full moon, and really sitting with this mother resonance power, super amazing for us. And it's the time to release all that stuff before 2020 comes, which has completely other different astrological aspects. I just caught him. Good. That are really powerful. So that's my message. Let those portals, resonance amplification, create those portals. Also, just FYI, I've been taught that the full moon lasts 3 days. So even though the fullness of the moon is tonight, and we will see it, and I totally suggest you guys go out and look tonight and make your own private intentions in your home, etc. tonight. If you want to come to the stewarding of the ceremonia tomorrow, again, hit me up. But tonight is like the, and tomorrow when we're in community together is when you can and be held, right? So like for a moon time, if you bleed on the full moon, oftentimes you'll feel all the like happening on the morning of the full moon, and then the next day is when the release will happen. So that's what I'm looking towards. So that's been my little soapbox about this moon and this time and what's going on again in Gemini. So all of the duality of who you are is coming up, and if you want to be in community tomorrow, go ahead and hit me up and we can talk about what that looks like. And I look really forward to serving you. As far as the apprenticeship, again, let me know if you'd like information on that. I have an application. I will choose my apprentices by January 1st, and the apprenticeship will start February 2nd, 2020. Okay? So many blessings. Mucho amor a todos, and we'll see you soon. Ciao.